So, hi everybody. This is a nice meeting of the cast of Mangrove, all with us. Well, some of them are with us, and some of them are joining us after. And some of the children of the Mangrove 9 are also with us today. And Jamilia, who's there in the bottom, is also with us, and she's going to be talking as well. So we're going to start with Sophia.
Yeah.
Sophia, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, I'm Rothwell Kentish's daughter, the oldest one, and I was actually there in the 70s. And I wasn't 2, I was, I say 10.
You said you was 10.
Yeah,
you was
10 or 9.
Yeah. So, okay, so I'm Yinka, so we're going to go this way, because I don't know how anybody else is seeing it. Inniss-Charles. My dad was Anthony Inniss. And my mum was actually pregnant at the time with me. So I was born like about 2 months after the actual march and protest. Yep. And Dwayne?
Hello.
Yeah.
Name's Dwayne, stage name's Kane L. Pearson. I play Rupert Boyce.
Next up, we have Gersh.
Yeah, Gersh Jr.
Yeah.
I'm playing Eddie LeQuinn.
And next up, we have Rashenda Sandel.
Yeah, I'm Rashenda Sandel and I play Barbara Bays.
Yeah.
Yay! And then you can say more if you want about yourself. It's up to you. We can talk after. No, I'm joking. And next up we have Michelle Greenwich.
Hello, I'm Michelle Greenwich and I play Mrs. Manning in Small Axe Mangrove.
Excellent. Thank you for joining us. And next up we have Darren, moving all over the place, giving us a tour.
Oh, sorry.
MTV Cribs.
Sorry.
Hey, it's not hard, man. What's wrong with you?
We're at your MTV Cribs. And here we have Darren Braithwaite.
I'm just trying to get comfortable. That's all.
Okay.
Yeah, my name's Darren Braithwaite. I play Ethan Carlisle Innes.
Elton, man.
Yeah, sorry, Elton. Sorry, Elton. My bad.
Anthony Carlisle Innes.
Elton Carlisle Innes.
Yeah, got it.
Yeah.
And then next up we have Jamilia.
Hi there. Hi everybody. Jamilia Bolton. I'm Bolton-Gordan's daughter. I think I'm his daughter. One of those days. Yeah, and hi everybody to that, and yeah, we'll catch up when we start speaking properly.
Yeah, this is it.
Awesome. Okay, so does anybody have any questions that they might want to ask about their parents, or vice versa? Like any member, I want to ask the person who plays their dad, or any questions about the past. Speak now.
Me personally, I would just like to know what it was like for the kids at the time growing up, in like when it was all going on, kicking off and all that. Like, how did it make you feel, and how do you feel today, like in society as it is, like how things are and stuff?
I think the best person to start with would be Sophia, because she was actually 10 years old at the time of the march.
Yeah.
We obviously came after, so we can talk about aftermath, but obviously Sophia was the main child that was actually living.
Yeah, of course.
So Sophia, would you like to tell us, would you like to answer that question?
Yes, actually being a mixed race as well, having a white mother was very hard in them days. My mother was often called names. Police were rather breaking our doors down and harassing us and everything. And, you know, they would harass you for anything, basically, stop you on the street, whatever. But my dad was quite eloquent, and he always behaved in a very positive way and held himself high and would not lower himself to their level and knew what they was about. But I had a very hard time at school, lot of bullying. I'm very dyslexic, and for first 3 years of my schooling, I was never taught. I thought I was special because I was let to do painting at the back of the school, but actually I was just ignored. So it really impacted my life. But the riots also, I remember there being three of those demonstrations.
Okay.
I'm not sure I was at all of them. I remember two of them, but the last one I remember the police coming from every direction and they just started to cut us off.
I'm so sorry.
It's all right.
Fell down.
I've got two cats.
I thought the
and they're
police
like-
would come. I thought there was the police at the door. No, I'm joking. We come here, we all get a bang at the doorway.
Easy
We're like,
pulling.
you're
Easy pulling.
The Zoom meeting is over. We're out of here.
Sorry,
Someone's joining us. Hello, Jermaine. It's about to connect.
Jermaine.
Yes, bro.
Yay! In the house.
Hey, Reece.
Jermaine's in the house.
Love in the background, brother.
Oh, I like that. What's that in the background?
Right?
Oh, my thing.
Wow.
Very
Yes. Looking dope,
Yes.
man.
You're
Thank
right.
you for joining us. Thank you for joining us.
My pleasure.
We actually thought the police were just about to kick off our doors while we were just having this meeting because we had some bang. But we're all right. I think we're safe now, maybe.
Yeah, we're good. We're good to
Oh,
go.
Sophia, sorry, you were interrupted. So, do you wanna carry on?
I'll just say a little bit over again. I was just talking about the riots and being there. Obviously, I was at an age where I remember it. And I remember a particular time, probably a bit where you get it in the film where it all kind of clashed and everything happened. Well, I was there. And my father realised that there was a lot of police coming about and he said, we've got to get the children out of here. So I remember them putting us over fences, through houses, because the police were cutting us off. And they were sending people in to rile us up as well. There was a lot of pushing and squishing. But I remember them bringing the children out and us going into house to house to house to house. We were going over the fences. And we had a riot day. We had pop and colouring and we were playing with all the other children and whatever. And I remember going over the roofs of the houses to get away. So we had a good time. It was
Thank you for sharing that story with us. You're a legend, love. You
Thank
should be
you,
in the film too, and they should have named you. Never mind, but we found the article, so we've got the evidence.
Yeah.
So we're going to move this way again. So Jermaine, you've just joined us. So basically, we kind of introduced ourselves and said who we played in the film, and then Darren asked a question, and Jamilia just answered. Sophia just answered because she was actually 10 years old at the time of the march. So she was actually the child that Richie Campbell, who was playing her dad, Ronnie Kentish at the time, he was carrying a child, if you remember. It was actually Sophia, but she wasn't a little child like that. She was 10. They kind of tell the story. So she actually went to the march and everything at the time. So she went through it all. So she's the legend out of all of us. Right? So Jermaine, do you want to quickly introduce yourself and just say who you play in the film?
Okay, yeah. So Jermaine Hunter, I play Godfrey Millet.
Okay, so Godfrey
Godfrey
Millet,
Millet.
mystery man. We're trying to find him, so we're going to maybe track him down. We don't know if he's passed or whether he's still alive. We're still trying to find out where he is. We know he's in America somewhere. We thought we tracked him down, but it was a hit miss, so we're still trying to find him at present. Okay, so we're going this way.
Oh, sorry.
But we will find him, I'm sure, or find his family. And so I'm just going to do a quick thing. So, okay, you already know Yinka Inniss-Charles. As I said, my mum was pregnant at the time. I was born 2 months after the march because within the Mangrove, they got arrested twice. So they initially got arrested at the march and then they got re-arrested like a year later, and that was when the main trial was. So they got arrested at first and then went to magistrate's court, and then they got let off all the charges, and then they put them back and decided to put more charges and make it more serious, and then took them to the Old Bailey, which is the trial what you guys played. So my mum's experience, I'll tell you a little bit about myself and then my mum's experience. My mum's experience, similar to Sophia, because I'm mixed race myself, whatever you want to call us, because we didn't call ourselves mixed race back then. We were called half caste, and then if people were feisty, they would call us half breed when it suited them. So we kind of got used to half caste really, and feisty people called you half breed, which we didn't like. My mum's experience of it, obviously, it was traumatic in the sense that she was having a baby. She didn't know if my dad was going to be locked down or whether he was going to be set free. Then he was set free, and then she thought he was going to be there as a baby. And then as I was about 1 year old, he got rearrested, and it kind of went on again. So my mum's experience is similar to what Sophia said, in the fact that being a white woman with a black man, she got it from both sides. She was even telling me a story the other day about PC Pulley, the one that plays in the film, in the fact that he did a nasty piece of work. And she said that when she would be walking down the street with a big pram and with me and my sister and my other sister, he would literally curb crawl and be coming in the car and be following her as she's walking down the road with her mixed race children. And he would be saying nasty things like, how could you have a black man, you said with a black man? So there was pure racism, and he'd like torment her. And she said that would be like a regular thing, walking down the street, the police would harass you because you obviously were with a black man and you had mixed race kids. So they'd also get it from the racist teddy boys and all them for how, you're going to get it if you've got a black man. And then they see us coming along. So she got it from both sides as well, because she also get it sometimes from the black side because she was a black man. So she got it from all sides. Growing up in the area around those times, it was quite a harsh time, because even the fact that my dad ended up going back to Trinidad, but as I was young, growing up on All Saints Road, you kind of got used to, you got resilient to it because it became the norm. So when you went there and there's riots or something was kicking off on the All Saints Road, you kind of just got used to it as a child, and you might just go and have to be moved, or you hide, or you do whatever. And then you'll just go back to normal as if nothing happened. So it was like, it became the norm. You knew how to survive. You knew the police were racist. You knew they were going to pick on, you might walk down the street and your dad would get stopped. Or they'd even try and, as even growing up and getting older, I remember the police harassing me even as a female, being mixed race in the area, where they would come and, harass you just because you're out playing or you're hanging around the area or you're in the community door. So we went through quite a lot. It was quite traumatic. I can say it made us who we are. It made us strong people. So I don't think anything in the past that happens to you is a bad thing. It just makes you stronger. As you can see, we're strong people, strong women, strong males who came from those families. We don't take any shit, as in we speak up. Even now in workplaces, in education, we always speak up. We're not actually scared to speak up. We're not scared to lose our jobs. We're not scared what might happen to us, because we saw our parents fight for the rights of that. And we know that it is important to speak up, even if you speak up and, they're like the troublemakers half the time. Because if you're in a work environment and you start to speak up because people are being racist, the other people try sometimes black people as well, like who work certain work. Even that they're being racist, they might keep their mouth shut because they want to keep the job. So they leave you on your own while you're speaking up. So you might not even be your problem. You speak up for your colleague. And then, because they want to keep their job, they're going to just leave you to take the right, and then you're just a troublemaker. But we're quite used to that, being called troublemakers, because it is embedded from young. Our parents were that way, and because they spoke up and fought against racism and they wanted equality, they were also called troublemakers, as you can see in the films. It can be twisted. So yeah, I'm not going to keep talking because it's not the Yinka show. Before we move on to, I know she's dying to get on here. No, really. Jamila.
Who are you talking about?
Right, two people have just joined us. I don't know if everyone's aware, because I know some people have got phones and they're sliding. So Richie Campbell's just joined us.
Yeah, I see him pop in.
So Richie, do you want to introduce yourself and just say who you play in the film?
No.
Okay, there you go, Sophia. Okay, get off.
The safety one. I'm earmarking the safety one. So that means I'm coming for
so
you.
this one already started, right?
I'm sussing everyone out.
See if we can embarrass us. We're hard skinned, We don't.
I was just here to listen, man. I was just.
An intro with your face yourself and your late face yourself.
So who do you play in the film, Richie?
Rothwell. I play Roddy.
Daddy.
So
My
Sophia,
daddy.
there's Daddy again. And sorry, Darren, I forgot to say hi,
again?
Dad.
Daddy, you said. Did you say Daddy?
Yeah, Daddy.
Yeah, my daddy.
You play her dad.
Sophia.
So, oh, fantastic. So you have to,
you're holding me as a baby.
In the film.
But I was actually 10 at the time.
Yeah, so they kind of downplayed the age.
So what happened just from my side of it. So I went to Goldsmiths Uni and I studied communications and cultural studies, and that the case was something that I really looked into. I wrote, it was part of my thesis and all that kind of stuff. But there wasn't a lot of knowledge, or there wasn't any solid information about certain members. I mean, the obvious was there, like you had Darkest, you had Alfie and all that. So I knew about the case. So when I met Steve and auditioned and everything for it, I hadn't, prior to that, I hadn't found anything. There was a little YouTube clip that I found of your dad.
Yeah.
It was another documentary about just about the resistance, basically. It wasn't the Mangrove one, it was a totally different one. And he was working out as a mechanic, is that right?
Yes. He was actually a welder. He was actually a welder.
Okay, so we had to base it on that. And then they said to me about the image of holding his daughter. And I can't remember if it was in the archive stuff that we were given, that there was an image, and obviously it was you as a baby, so that's what they went with. But it's interesting to know that you was 10 at the time.
Yeah, she was 10.
Wow. But yeah, so that's where that comes from. So yeah, I'm interested to know what. Yes, so yes, speak up, Sophia.
So we've had someone else who's joined us, and you haven't got a name there. It just says the Black Costume Network. So
wow.
I'd love to have
your mic's muted.
information.
Do you want to introduce yourself? Sorry, Sophia, because we're just getting someone else who's come through.
Yeah. Hi guys. I'm Jodie Simone. I don't play anyone in the film, but I worked as part of the costume team.
Oh, okay. So
hi.
You do the costumes.
I mean, I didn't design. I didn't do the design. Let me not even take that. That was Lisa. But I was there looking after all of these, all of these guys. I was looking after these men and women in here. So
love you.
Welcome and thank you for joining us.
Welcome. Thank you.
Were they feisty to you like that as well, like that?
You know. You know what? Yeah, they were actually. It was actually like the best cast I've ever worked with, and they're not paying me to say that either. Like,
don't lie.
Actually,
see you later.
They were. It was vibes, man. And I think for me, like I've been doing this like 7 years, and I think this was the most amount of Black people I've ever looked after on a set before. Like usually there's 1 or 2 Black actors in a show that I do. So for me, obviously, it was a privilege to obviously know from like my dad even talking about this sort of thing when I was young, and you know, it was a privilege to be a part of something like this, but obviously to look after these guys as well was amazing, and obviously to have Steve. So for me, it was a new experience 7 years in, like to be on a set with predominantly Black people, and it was just a beautiful experience, man. So I'm happy to be here, and like obviously blessed to you, all the generation still coming to talk. Like, cheers to you.
For real.
So I'm just here to, bring the vibes and catch a little.
It's in your hair. That's what's important, because everything happens for a reason. That's what I believe in life. And it's good that you're here today. This is historic that we're all in one little Zoom meeting. Who would have thought? But now I'm gonna let Miss Madame Jamilia Bolton-Gordan come and talk.
Well, I can easily put you all to sleep. Don't worry. But that's not my intention today.
I'll cut her when we're ready. No, I'm joking. Go on. She said she's got a lot to say, but she has things that are worth listening to. And then we could have.
No. I'm not gonna go in hard like that. But just to reiterate, I'm Jamilia Bolton-Gordan. Roden was my dad. Answer to your question, how was it growing up as children? Well, for me, I suppose it's quite unique in one sense, because I started off in the Grove. I left there when I was 3. My dad was the Portobello end. We weren't on All Saints Road where the Mangrove actually was. You had 2 roads really that were kind of distinctly different, but cater for the community in that way, So you had Frank and the Mangrove and a lot of the entrepreneurial shops, black shops on All Saints Road. And then Portobello, you had, it was more kind of, for my dad, he had two businesses there. He had, sorry?
More markets, really, wasn't it? More markets.
Not on the, on Portobello Road, yeah, but not on
under the Westway, but mainly where my dad was, he had Backyard and Black People's Information Centre. So it was really weird because when you're a child, you don't really understand what you're in or the enormity of what you're in. You just want to have fun. You just want to. I mean, my dad and my mum weren't together by the time that I was 3, so I'd have to go with my dad. I'd moved to Shepherd's Bush by then, and then I went up to Ladbroke Grove. My dad used to come and get me and take me. But one of my parents' arguments was my dad was very unconventional, and I didn't understand why at the time. But my experience growing up with my dad was mainly, if you said you were going to the park, my dad wasn't going to the park. He was going to a committee meeting. So I would sit at a committee meeting talking about black issues. It wasn't, it was very political. So, we had a black library downstairs. That black library was for, well, I'll give you a joke. If we were in trouble as children, me and my brother especially, my dad's punishment, he'd never smack us, but my dad's punishment would be to go to the library. Now, we knew very quickly what that meant. So if we went to the library, because it was more intellectual, and those books, I couldn't even spell half those words. They weren't even in the dictionary. But his punishment would be to go and find a book, find a word, read, look it up in a dictionary, and then write a sentence about that word so you understood what you were reading. Now, if you're about 10 and 11, what the arse are you looking at? You don't know what you're looking at. And we were being there, sweating for hours, trying to work out what these words were. Not hours, but maybe an hour. Come back up, and then we'd have to deliver what we found. So in that sense, he would grow us in the sense that his phrase was, you have to understand the money or the law of the land, either one. Once you understand that, then you will understand how to maintain or sustain your environment.
Yeah.
So he was the political, people describe him as a political animal because he had the legal place there. He was with the Black Panthers. He was very militant, but very eloquent with it. But he had a wicked sense of humor. I mean, if he saw any of you all here, he would be looking you up and down, finding something, and then he'd be running with that. And it's pure joke, pure and utter. I mean, he had a good way of making you, if you were wrong, he'd tell you. So tell me, what happened? So you start off, he said, but what's your contribution to what happened? And by the time he tells you that, you're like, what do you mean my contribution? He did this to me. But then you'd have to reflect on yourself. Even if you didn't want to do it at the time, you'd have to do it later on. And another thing is that he'd hold court at each corner of Portobello. It'd be, if you understood the area, outside his businesses, there'd be a corner where he would just stand and everybody would gravitate to that one corner. And then, it doesn't matter about, say, issues, but it could be a chat. And I remember this one woman walking past and he didn't like wigs. He was a man that you had to be natural. As a woman, you had to be natural. As a man, you had to be natural. And if you had a weave, I remember one this woman walked past with a wig on her head, and he just left the middle of the conversation with a few people. And she said, "Good evening, good morning, Rodden." And he said, "Yes, miss." And I remember him taking the wig off this woman's head. I said, "Lord."
Oh no.
Oh no.
Oh no.
I just saw, and you should have seen everybody. Everybody was like, "Oh!" And he said, "I keep telling you not to wear the horse hair. I keep telling you. You see, I scratching your head. You can breathe." And I nearly died. But that's the type of man that he was.
You're right, militant. Yeah, you're right. Militant.
And then he would say, but when your man wants to cuss me and cut you up in the night time, and you have to feel all this madness, what kind of thing is that? The man lose his thing? I said, "Dad, please." And I'd say to him, we go to Harrods, we go somewhere like Harrods. And then he would go and spray up. He'd get the woman, the assistant, to come and give him all these different arrays of perfume. Now she's thinking she's getting a little commission. She's getting all excited. He's lining all these bottles up. All the man's gone in there to do is spray up himself and go about your business. And I was and she'd be looking at him and she'd be so pissed off. Anyway, so that's but very witty, very, very witty. And yeah, I mean, going back to on a serious note, what me and Yinka were talking about is that we realized that they suffered post-traumatic stress.
Yeah,
because
definitely.
they went to war. They
Yeah,
went to
of
war.
course.
paid
They
the
won
price.
that battle, but they didn't. They won the battle, but they didn't win the war.
Exactly.
And we didn't realize that there was more to come. And I think that's the bit that people don't understand really. Our fathers were geniuses in a sense, and the mothers in a sense of life after the mangrove, life after what happened to them.
Survival.
So they made the best of what they could do with their relationships. A lot of relationships did suffer. I mean, Lalini, you were quite fortunate that you had both parents.
It didn't last.
That lasted.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think, and what, Auntie Althea is also, and
Auntie Althea and Uncle Eddie are still together. My parents were together for 43 years.
Yeah. And obviously,
Well done to that out of the 9.
Innit?
Oh, it's
Well
true.
done, because I think possibly, well, I don't know about Godfrey Mullet, but possibly because even Barbara, you know, Darkers and Barbara split.
My dad and
same
mum
with
split.
Frank and his wife split. So it really was quite traumatic. And it's so unusual. Our fathers didn't speak and they didn't introduce us as children. Well, some of us. And the extent of that is when we went to school, we didn't even realize.
Me and Jamilia went to school. We didn't know.
We didn't know that our parents were who our parents were.
Wow.
And I used to meet with Gordon as well, Ronnie Gordon, at the end before he passed. It was funny because me and him used to always meet in this cafe, and he would buy his little special sandwich and his coffee, and we'd be sitting down having some serious intellectual conversations before I'd be going to the library to do some revision. And I didn't even know that was obviously he was part of the Mangrove Man. I didn't even know it was Jamilia's dad. So it shows you like how far we became away from the Mangrove Man growing up. Even though everyone's talking about it now, we kind of moved away and we tried to better our lives. But let me go back to you anyway, because I'd love to take your time. But yeah,
but yeah, I mean, just wrapping up. Yeah, I mean, it was. I mean, my mum and even my sister's mum. You haven't met my sister yet, Afra. Again, she's mixed. My dad he loved women. He loved food. He loved the most important things in life, which is food, women, and his family. You know, his children. So, he was a carer for his community. So he still has a housing association that he set up. That's still going. That's for young black people in general. So that's in Ladbroke Grove, based in Ladbroke Grove. His passion was definitely young people. As far as he was concerned, the baton is going to be sent to them. So why don't you include them in everything that you're doing? So when you go in, rather than wait till you're dead, and then you got all the arguments, disputes, and all the rest of it, bring them in from the beginning so they naturally take over like other cultural people do with their families. So, you know, he's a man of principle. But, you know, the other thing is, I'll leave you with this one about my dad. It made me laugh was that I said to him one day, one of the other things he used to do as well, which is really strange to me, is again, like going back to my childhood, is that he would take me into mental institutions like the one in Tooting. I can't remember what it is for the minute.
Banstead.
No.
Broadsmead.
No. It will come to me. And then I'd have to go to the prisons with him because that's where he would go and see the young people that basically got arrested on trumped up charges. So those prison visits were quite traumatic. I remember the smell. I was about 9, 10 at the time. And I just remember thinking, why are you across the table? Why do you look like that? Why are you all in the same colours of clothes? You know, and why do you all look upset? You know, not understanding where I am.
Yeah.
And the mental institutions were worse because people walking around, obviously drugged. And there was so many black people that I could see in there. I was thinking, why is everybody walking around like, you know, is it like the Caribbean? Is that people walk around? You know, there's, you know, in the sun and all kind of things would be like, and I'd be like, Dad, why are we here? And he'd be like, oh, you know, my friend is here and I'm trying to stop them from giving them drugs because it's mandatory. And I didn't understand none of that. So he goes, these are the original drug dealers. That's what he used to be telling me. And I'd be like, well, we go on the Ladbroke Grove and there's drug dealers on Ladbroke Grove there, but they don't look like that. You know, so it was a very conflicting kind of upbringing for me. And I suppose I've become in love with my dad more that I've learned now as an adult than when I was as a child. As
a child, you tried to get away.
Oh yeah, I was running from my dad, and exactly what, you know, Yinka says, or all of us say, you know, I couldn't get
It
away
was madness. Just say it as it is. It was madness. Now, every family is dysfunctional unless you're fake, because every family is dysfunctional. Everyone's got something wrong, or one auntie or something that's got it. Keep it real. Every family is dysfunctional, but we were hardcore, not dysfunctional. We were very functional. If you want to flip the script, we were definitely functional because we knew how to survive. We knew how to survive.
Yeah, we did know how to survive. But what was interesting for me is going on the front line, leaving Portobello, going to the front line, and then it became a no-go area. So then it was heightened. There was always this kind of tension between the police. You know, they would never come down the front line itself, but you could see them homing. And my dad always said to me, they're getting ready, you know, they're getting ready for us. You know, they're leaving it a few more years, but they're getting ready for us. Watch it. Watch what I say. And sure enough, when in the 80s, when they started to clean up and Jamaicans came over in more abundance, and it kind of changed the dynamics of Ladbroke Grove. So the east coast of the Caribbean, which is Trinidad and Barbados and all those areas, you know, we had a kind of a different cultural mix of Jamaicans coming in. You had the St. Lucians and the Dominicans and Harrow Road, which is so it was a very different kind of mix. But as soon as Jamaicans came and said, "Listen, you young, you know, you people let these people walk all over you," and then it became very hostile between the police.
It became a no-go. It was more
no-go.
Early,
and that changed how Ladbroke Grove, because the rich people could handle the kind of West Indian east side of the Caribbean.
They were never allowed to prosper. They were never allowed to prosper. Whatever business they tried to do and set up, they were destroyed. And even up to this day now, they're still doing it and getting away with it.
Yeah,
and
that's right,
the
man.
thing is, they went after my father after the trial. They went after my father, and they did him on a trumped-up charge, and he actually did time. Out of the whole 9, he actually got done. They wanted to put him away for 30 years.
Oh, wow.
And this was a completely trumped-up charge, and the only thing that saved him is because he was so eloquent and so poised, they couldn't rattle him. They could not rattle him, and they realised it was just trumped up, all the charges, but they had to give him time to make it look good.
Because also you got to remember as well, you can't mess with the judicial system and think you're just going to walk away and be here.
None of them did. None of them did.
And get you.
None of them did.
If they ain't going to get you, they're going to get your family. They're going to get
devils with badges.
You don't walk free if you win and you win a case and you're guilty against the judicial system or the police. You don't. Everybody knows that.
Well, I mean, to be fair,
aftermath that comes, and it will happen to your families.
The same as the carnival. The carnival started as a silly little street party,
and expanded.
And what happened? White people took over. White people took over in the end, and they all put their 2 penny in. And you know, now if you try and look who started the carnival, you can't find the proper names. You can't find the proper names who really started it. It started off as a little street party outside the restaurant that they had. It started all there just to celebrate their own culture.
Yeah.
Because there was more fun. As we were saying, remember, Jamilia, that our parents were so humorous, even in the court, you see the humor, because if you don't laugh, you'll cry. Yeah. So they were from the Caribbean. They're firm believers of, even if you've got nothing to eat in your pot, you'll make a big soup. And even if your life's falling down around you, you're gonna party and enjoy your life. And that was how we were brought up. It was like, there's always someone worse off than you. It doesn't matter what's happening. You're gonna get up, you're gonna stand up, and you're gonna put your head up high at your house like nothing's happening and everything's perfect. Your world is so together, and no one needs to know. So that was the way we were brought up. You just enjoy life for every moment. So sometimes those little times of just celebrating, partying, or your mum's friends coming around and they're having a big party in the sitting room, playing their old time music, getting down and saying, "Go on, girl, I'll give you 50p," and you're like all dancing to all the old tunes, trying to look good for your uncles and aunties or your family. Those moments, no one could take them away from you, and no one could take them away. Even though as children, as we said, we grew up and then we tried to kind of better our lives because we wanted to, most of us, we don't think we had some hard background life and then we didn't improve ourselves, because most of us the children, we've got degrees and we went on, we progressed in life, we lived good. But through that hardness, that made us stronger people. So we were able to go out there in the world and take on, and get to the top where we want to be, because we don't flinch. I remember someone at work, we make a little facey remarks. They always come with a little sarcasm. I'll just be like this. And they'll be like, God, she doesn't even flinch. And I think, you don't know where I'm coming from, mate. Like, flinch, you ain't nothing compared to
what we've gone through.
Yeah, to the cast. Let's go back to the cast, right? It's like Mangrove 9 taking over here. We would like to know about the cast. I would like to know about you guys.
Well, it was the Trini moment. Girls remember. He's the only face of Trini.
Oh, you're a Trini. Woo! You're like me.
I was putting up my fingers representing Trinidad.
TNT.
For real.
Oh, you're a Trini.
He's a Trini. He's a Trini boy.
The original Trini.
Is there any Grenadians in the place?
Boo.
My nan's a Canadian. Okay, any Trinidad in the house? Any Jamaicans in the house?
Hold on.
Yeah. Calm down.
Any Guyanese in the house?
No. Any more Saracens? Just me? Okay, correct. Thanks.
There's only one.
Mr. Eddie, because he's sitting there like he's so cool and relaxed and reserved.
Yeah.
Eddie,
They might be spoiling their career.
Yeah, no, I think for myself, I was in it for, it felt like for a little bit, that obviously like the cast had been together for quite a while, kind of, you know, getting to feel a feel of their characters and, you know, a feel of the group together. I think for me, just kind of understanding how young they were, like listening to you now, understanding how young they were at the time when they were going through it. Maybe that would have changed the way that I approached it, but yeah, no, it was just taking in as much information as you could, and you know, obviously my family's Trinidadian. My mum came up in what, 66. Yeah, so you know, she had, it was an honor to try and represent those that had travelled, you know, from wherever they came from to here and went through what they went through with the legal system, with the police. And yeah, I know, like, can't say carnival where my face doesn't light up. So kind of being part of the story as to where it started, you know, it meant a lot. It meant a lot. Eddie, no, would have been awesome. I got sent just like the audio files of him and Altia speaking to each other.
Yeah.
So it was interesting, obviously, listening to his voice and trying to get an understanding of how involved he was, even though he wasn't like on trial, like, you know, trying to get an aspect of, you know, you're watching the you know, your partner sort of being put through this and people that you know, you know, so.
Anyone else like to comment?
Okay, for me, yeah, basically I never realized how close, because I actually auditioned for somebody else, a role. Then they thought I resembled your dad, so they said, okay, basically, can you be this character? I was like, okay, it's not a problem. Everyone was busy on set, and Hazel, she was just on, she's a voice coach. So I didn't really have any information. So I spoke to her, I was like, okay, I'm playing this character with a voice, like, you know, about his surname. He said, oh, I know the surname's Trinidadian. So cut a long story short,
you got Trini family.
Yeah, found out there's a link basically to your dad. And again, it's a thing of where I could have done or spoken or done a lot. However, I had nothing on your dad. So I actually went down, spoke to Bubbles. I spoke to Aaron. Do you know Aaron Mocano?
Yeah.
Their family. Yeah, so they're basically their family, and I tried to like book appointments because originally I spoke to is it Bubbles as well? I spoke to as well. So I was down, you know, they're trying to get as much as possible, trying to understand how your dad handled himself. So there was a lot I could have.
Fair enough.
Because my thing was I didn't want to do anything because I know there was a few politics and stuff and everything, and I spoke to you. So it's having that balance, respecting both, you know, sides as well. So yeah, it was good speaking to Bubbles. He gave me like, you know, the energy of your father and everything as well and stuff. So as soon as I got like that, how your dad sounded and everything, because my thing was I want to be considerate to you and everybody else. because I didn't want to say or do not say, but speak in this Trini accent, and it didn't sound like your dad. That would have kind of taken you up. Like, hold on. Now, uncle didn't sound like that. Dad didn't sound like that. And I'm not sure if it's respectful for you.
Anyone else?
So I got to meet her in a pub just before she was just about to go on holiday.
That's Barbara.
This is about to go on holiday with her son Marcus. So I think that they were going to go to Jamaica and New York, right? Yeah. So I just got a quick meeting in with her just before she left for a 3-week holiday. So it was really, it was amazing. The first thing she said to me was, "Oh, you're Northern." Yeah. I said, don't worry, I won't play it like this. I said, I've been working on that. No, it was amazing. I mean, it's a very overwhelming feeling to be representing such an important story that we all didn't know about, which is another issue. But I think hopefully I hope that this film will be a gateway into more stories being produced, and the furthered British history being part of education, because that's the way forward, isn't it? You know, like getting these stories to kids. And I don't know if you guys know, but we've been doing little bits and bobs for the BBC Bite Size. Yes. So I know that the BLM movement tried to get a letter approaching the government about making Black history not conditional as part of the curriculum, and it got denied, didn't it? It got ignored, that letter. But actually, through the films, they're bringing these like bite-sized pieces so that teachers can actually log on and choose to do those as lesson plans as well, which I think is like amazing. Yeah, they've made a little cartoon of Barbara, and it'll be
Well, what's also interesting, what I love hearing that, because my sister works for Islington Council, and they've approached her, and I don't know how they got to know that she is one of the Mangrove Descendents children, but they were wholly enthusiastic about putting it on their curriculum. My sister's I think she's a senior counsellor there, so she deals with the young people, funny enough, and she counsels quite a lot of, I think it's from about 16 to 20 or 25, I can't remember. She'll obviously be more qualified to tell you, but we thought it was really interesting the way they approached her. Now, if they can do, I mean, my drive is to get it on the curriculum, but there's no way it can be on the curriculum. I know I'll be killing myself with others to ensure that happens. And, you know, just finding, basically it's just networking and finding the big wigs that, you know, can push it for you. Because we can go so far, but you're going to need, you know, your MPs, you're going to need the upper middle class to help push that through. So that's one element. I just wanted to say as well, though, I found it interesting. I mean, I'm not going to lie. I'm going to tell it just as it is. When we viewed Yinka, when we first privately viewed the screening, I've got a reporter friend, and it's so, I mean, I can laugh now. And I said to him, yeah, you know, we're going to watch a screening. He works for the BBC, ITV and BBC. And I said to him, he's the only one I know who can work for 2 stations without conflict. But anyway, so I said, yeah, come down and you can maybe, you know, when you stand outside and when we come out, you can, you know, get your first, you know, a clip of how we feel emotionally about the film. Because, oh yeah, that's a good idea. Anyway, when we were inside and the film started, I mean, in one sense, it's kind of, we've spoken to Steve about it, so we're not saying anything that we haven't spoken to Steve about. But there was, for me, when I first saw, I can't remember, is it Nathaniel or Nathan? Nathaniel. When I saw him, no, first of all, when I saw Frank, I thought,
Frank, that's your dad. She said, that's my dad. I'm like, no, it's not. That's Frank. Because I looked at all the cast to make sure I found out who you were. And she's like, oh, there's my dad. Oh, that's Frank.
So I was confused. So I was like,
we're all confused.
So when Nathaniel came on and they said Roden, I was like, eh? And plus, when they depicted him as a Jamaican, I was definitely confused because we're Grenadian. So then there's two conflicts already for me, and then the third one is because he was so knowledgeable and he already held he already had an arsenal of legal advisors and barristers, and he was quite legal himself. He already knew the statute, he knew the judicial system inside out. So when they were depicting that he was just having this discussion with Althea and Howard, and they were trying to convince him to either follow suit or to not to trust them, to trust their judgment and what they're doing. That's not my dad.
It was probably my dad.
And it's not Roddy either. So, but and because the other thing is that I realised they didn't do their homework, the BBC, in coming to the parents, coming to the families.
That's what, sorry to cut you. That's what I was going to ask you. Were any of you guys informed beforehand, like as in they were going to do this? Because I know the Critchlows were in that respect. Because
the four main people who are in it are basically the four families that were told about it. We found out way after.
Left out.
Yeah, we were left out.
Wow.
They found out.
So it was like that. We had a discussion with Steve. It was already done. There's not much we could do about it. He's put it on the map, which is a great thing. But it wasn't that we were hostile, that we wanted to come out and attack the cast or attack the show or attack Steve, because it wasn't about that. It was just, we went for a roller coaster. Because if you imagine you're playing your parent, and then you don't know nothing about it, and then you're trying to find out, and people are just pushing you to the side like you're nothing. I'm sure you guys would have felt the same way about it.
But what I was going to say, Yinks, sorry, just one second. What I was going to say though is on the humorous side of it. Well, once we found humor, when we came out of the film in Soho. The thing is, you know what was interesting also is that when we came out, when the reporter, my reporter friend, he had he had the camera, he had the stand, and I got to be honest, we came out like rhinos. If I'm honest, this poor man.
I feel embarrassed. He just probably thought, "What the hell?"
He was across the road. No, he was across the road. He saw all of us come out, and he was expecting us to go, "Oh yeah, we saw it," and we were like,
Stunned into silence.
He just always, he didn't even ask, he didn't say a word. He
went like this with the camera, this is him. And he didn't even know if he wanted to look at us. And I remember coming out saying, "Where's the cameraman standing there?" And hiding his camera, he was like this. And he just looked like he was a ghost.
But the poor man went to give him his dues. He went to the pub with us, and he came. Did he come to eat? No, he went to the pub with us, and we just kind of expelled.
To tune into our next shows, you can find us on YouTube, The Next Generation of the Mangrove 9. Also Instagram, Next Generation of the Mangrove 9. And also we have a website, www.thenextgenerationofthemangrove9. See ya!